Alright, hello everyone. Welcome all to our stream for Flashpoint Campaigns Red Storm version 2.06, the Player's Edition. My name is Surtur from Slytherin and I'll be your host for tonight as we're going to take a look at this game. With us in the chat we also have William van der Sterre and as well as Jim Snyder, known here as Captain Darwin. These are representing the development team of On Target Simulations. They're ready to answer any questions you might have about the game. Oh, forgive me, guys. And we're going to take you through the basics here, introduce you to the game, show what makes it unique, what makes it fun, and why this is such a cool game. So let's just jump right in. Flashpoint Campaigns. It's a turn-based strategy game. It looks like a fairly traditional war game. It's set during the Cold War, during the 1980s, and with a hypothetical Soviet invasion of Western Europe. So we have the NATO troops against the Soviet troops. Both are playable. There are campaigns for both, as well as a ton of scenarios in which you can play either faction. There's also a scenario editor should you want to create your own. Of course, the game supports both single and multiplayer, has a very challenging AI, and again, we're going to jump right in now. So I'm in the main menu here, and I'm going to start a new game. So we're starting a new scenario. We're going to play a single scenario for now. We're going to play against the computer. You can also play head-to-head in a hot seat multiplayer, should you want that, or an online multiplayer. You can either do the online via the Slytherin PBM++ server or by the classic PBM game system. Or you can let the computer play both and watch the computer kill itself, basically. It's an interesting way to study the tactics and strategies of the AI, which again is rather challenging in this game. We're going to play as the NATO side here, although again the Warsaw Pact is playable in every scenario there is. So should you prefer the Warsaw Pact equipment, you can give it a go with that. So we're going to select NATO and we're going to proceed here. We're here in the list of scenarios which we can select. As you can see, it's quite extensive. It has scenarios balanced for playing as NATO, for playing as Warsaw Pact, or for playing as head-to-head in multiplayer. So we're going to look at the tutorial scenario here because it's relatively short, so I will be able to show you more of the scenario itself, and at the same time it has a great number of different units to showcase. So having said that, we're going to jump in. Here we can set our gameplay options for the scenario. There are a couple of options you can tweak yourself. You can make the enemy markers visible. You can set the emergency resupply. Limited staff rule is something we're gonna get into in a second. It's one of the unique features of the game, as well as the staff fire support. Line of sight checks, which is like an interface tool, and browsing of enemy spotted units. These are my preferred settings. You're free to make your own selection of this as you please. So from here we're gonna proceed, and we are in game. So first we have our scenario description. This is a basic setup of what the situation is. So in this case it's an introduction into the game since we're playing the tutorial. If you're playing other scenarios or the campaign game, you'll have of course a much more thorough, detailed introduction. Then we skip to our player mission briefing. In this case, we're playing the first armor of the British Army, and our mission briefing is as followed. We are Major Townsend. We're commander of the First Armored, and we're ordered to move to the town of Nordheim. And we can expect enemy resistance from the Soviet 12th Guard Tank Division. And it's a mixed force of armor and mechanized infantry, as well as artillery and air support. So again, this game has a little bit of everything, as well as a very rapidly changing weather situation, which is also extremely interesting in-game, the dynamic weather effects. The Soviets are already underway, so we must make haste. Right, so here is our current army. We're going to proceed, and let us zoom out for a second to show the map. The new, if you played Flashpoint campaigns before and you're coming in now, you might recognize some new map graphics. These were made by William van der Sterre, who is here in the chat as well. He is the new member of the On Target Simulations team, and he will also be providing the map for the future games by On Target Simulation. For those of you who are interested, the older maps are still available for download if you prefer them. Right, so here we have the map, and our objective is this river crossing here in the town of Nordheim. These are the forces we have available. It consists of some armor and some mechanized infantry, as well as some artillery. And the map in all scenarios is based on the historical or the actual terrain, and is based on Google Earth footage. So if you happen to be from the area, you might actually recognize the maps, which is extremely awesome. Right, so let us zoom into our troops here. We can see we have these are the units we have available. We're in the setup phase, so we can move our units to the starting positions for this scenario everywhere within the blue indicators, and we can detail our units by going to the order of battle browser, where we have each unit. We can select them. We can also reassign them by dragging and dropping them under a different HQ, and HQs are extremely important, as we'll cover soon. So again, we have to move to this river crossing here, and we can expect the enemy coming from the east. So what I want to do in this attempt of the scenario, I want to take up a defensive position here with my tanks, move up some infantry to cover one side of the river, and keep some units in reserve to the north, which will go on the attack when the opportunity arises. So I'm going to organize my units. I'm going to, again, just dragging and dropping. And if we look at one of the units, we can see a number of information on there. We're going to get into detail on them in a second. What you can see here is the number 3, which is the amount of runners. So if I click on the subunits, we can see that this represents 3 Challenger tanks, or 1 Challenger platoon. And other than placing them, we're also going to give them the first orders. And this is done very easily. Right-clicking on a unit will bring up the menu. You can say move, you can say assault, or anything that you might need during a battle. In this case, we're going to move them deliberate, and we're going to move this tank platoon south, a setup position here initially. Then I confirm my order by clicking again on the counter. And then I get the option, what do I want to do when it arrives? And we're going to say hold and dig in. So we're going to do that for our other tanks as well. Move deliberate. We're going to set one here in a fortified position as indicated by the blue circle. And we're going to hold, and holding means try and hold this position as much as possible. If you set it on one of the other stances, it will be more likely to flee from the position when it feels threatened. And then we're going to move one here as well, which is also a very good location. And again, set it on the defensive. These tanks are going to be on the defensive for now. Then we have the HQ unit. We're going to move it close to the other units so that all the units are within command range, which is highly important. It's allowed to be loose, so we're going to set it in the screening mode. We keep it behind the lines though, behind this hill, so they should be safe for now at least. And then we have one armored unit left, and we're going to keep that in reserve to the north here. Make it hold as well. even if once you've given your orders, you can change them or change the waypoints as you please. So I can just drag and drop the waypoints anywhere I like, which is extremely convenient. So misclicking is not at all fatal in this game. Right, so then we're going to set up our infantry units, which are indicated by these. And as you can see, these infantry units consist of 4 warrior armored APCs, as well as mechanized rifle units to go with them. So we have these units here. We have the HQ and some mobile artillery as well, some mortar artillery. These units, 2 of them, we're going to send in directly to the front line. And we're going to move, deliberate again, and we're going to move them towards one side of the river as quickly as possible and have them dig in there. And hopefully they will be able to delay the enemy movement while our tanks, our challengers, are doing the work of actually killing them. If you're now asking yourself, I've been given all these movements, how do I remember which one goes where? There's also, there are a number of tools here which are useful to see that, so the command range, but also all the movement orders. So then we have our HQ unit, which of course again has to be somewhat in the vicinity, but not in the line of fire. And we're going to keep one in reserve together with the armored unit for the counterattack. And we are going to set up our artillery. As you can see, for artillery, we've got a number of extra options, which we're going to discover soon. And we're going to set them up also behind the hill, giving indirect fire. We're going to give them the on-call option, so they will be ready and waiting for orders once they arrive. Then we have some of our special units, our anti-tank strikers. They have ATGMs, or anti-tank guided missiles. So we're going to set them up, and we're going to get them to a good position. They are very, very strong against enemy units, of course, the missiles, but they run out of ammo fairly quickly. So you want them to fire their weapons, then retreat, resupply, and get them back into the line. And our recce. It's always a tough choice what to do with these. These units are highly important and very vulnerable, and at the same time they're forced to operate on the very front lines. I'm gonna take a detour with them. I'm gonna try and position them on the high ground here to see if I can cover anything from what's covering from this side, so at least I can see it coming. And perhaps it would help me with directing my artillery strikes. And again, I click on the unit to confirm. I'm going to set it to screen because I don't want it to hold this position. I want it to get out of there as soon as there's fire, because it's not a unit that's very good at defending itself, obviously. Then we get our mechanized artillery, which we're going to also set up closer to the enemy, but still behind the front line. And as well as our HQ unit. And a very good tip here, they're giving very good comments here in the chat, the guys from the On-Target Simulations, by Jim, by Captain Darwin, to not position your HQs and artilleries in the same hacks. This can be extremely dangerous if your enemy is doing counter barrages to your artillery, which the AI is very capable at actually. So you might lose them quickly. And then our anti-air unit, we're going to deploy just behind our lines to hopefully scare off any air unit that might come. Although with only 2 javelins, they're not as good as anti-air air defense as I would have liked to have. Right, so we have given our orders now for the first turn, and you will see that this is a turn-based but a we-go game. And what it means is that as soon as I start my turn, the enemy will also start his turn. So our turns get processed at the same time. It's also an asynchronous WeGo game, and which is something, the details we can see fairly quickly of what that exactly entails. So I'm going to start here. We are at the dawn. We have a decent visual of 1500 meters, which is about, one hex is about 500 meters across. But again, the weather is likely to change here. So here you can see our units moving as time progresses, depending on the readiness of the unit, and depending on the morale, depending on the current situation, are they within HQ range, etc. They will be faster or slower at actually accepting the orders and executing the orders. So keeping your forces well organized, keeping your forces at the ready, not letting your forces suffer too much punishment before you retreat them from the front lines is essential at maintaining an actual proper armored force or proper fighting force. So once we go into the close the subunit tab, go into the Tactical Ops Center diary, we have a message log of everything that's happening, and for now it's more or less about moving from hex to hex, but soon enough it will be fighting, combat reports, etc., which is very important. So now we have changes in battlefield conditions. The day is breaking, though the visual is still somewhat limited. As you can see, it's reflected on the map by making it lighter. And our turn resolution for now is over. It's been a fairly short one. It's been 18 in-game minutes. And let's take a look at the command and control tab here, where we can see our turn resolutions. We can see our local electronic warfare hindrance is low, which means that our radios work or we have better radio contact with our allies, so we can give more orders. And we can see that our turn cycle in this case has grown from 16 to 18 minutes. Now this turn cycle is based on the readiness of your units, on the readiness of your HQs, are your units within command range of the HQs, etc. So this will change dynamically during the game, and that's what makes this game so unique, is that if your forces get very disorganized very quickly, you'll become extremely inflexible. And this is also independent for each side. So in theory, a point could arise where I could give 2 orders, where in the same time my enemy, 2 orders 2 times, in the same time my enemy can only give orders 1 time. So this is quite essential. So targeting enemy HQs and lowering their readiness, their morale, is a very good way of gaining a tactical advantage. So our units are still underway to execute their main orders. So we're just going to press start and not waste too much time here, and see if we can if we'll get into contact with the enemy. All units, of course, are based on actual military equipment that was used at the time. This goes for the British, for the West Germans, for the Americans, and of course for the Warsaw Pact units. Battlefield conditions have changed. We have increased visibility, which is very good. So you will find the equipment you know, and with the characteristics as modeled as realistically as possible. So in essence, this can really be seen as a simulator of Cold War combat or late Cold War combat. So we can see the time changing here. We have our visual information here of the day, etc. We have our specific unit information here of their readiness, their moves, orders, ammunition. And let's take a look at one of these counters, at exactly what they do and what they show. If we zoom in here, for example, this Challenger, we can see the name of the of the unit, of the platoon. We have the unit size, we have the color indicating to what HQ it belongs to. We have the number of runners, or number of units within the platoon. So in this case, we have 3 tanks. We have the T, which indicates the method of transportation. So in this case, we have a tracked unit. And we have an H indicating it's currently on hold orders. Whereas this, for example, is a wheeled unit, not tracked, and it's based, it has screening orders. So that's the basic indication. Then you can dig further into the characteristics of a unit. Right. Good thing about the sound. Let me change that. Let me change it here. Hopefully this will be better. So if you want to get into the detailed characteristics of the unit, you can click on the unit into the subunit inspector, and you will get all the details you want. So you see the armaments of the unit, the type of sensor that it has, the special abilities it has, or the countermeasures. So in this case we have smoke discharges, etc. So we can scroll the different units we have also from here, seeing their characteristics, and we can also look at the enemy units if we feel inclined. One thing to note is the victory point value of each unit. As you can see, Challenger 1 is worth 122 victory points, so losing these is quite hurtful to my event chances of victory. And the way victory is decided is by the victory points, and it's compared to the amount of troops you have alive. So we can see it in the Tactical Operations Center. We can browse to our staff summary report, where you can see here the victory calculations. So in this case, how many victory point locations do you have, and how many losses have you inflicted? And at the same time, what is your amount of starting forces compared to the start of the scenario? So we have our units dug in here, we have our units starting to dig in here. If they stay in the same hex for longer than half an hour of in-game time, they will also start taking better defensive positions, so it'll be harder to hit, harder to kick out of their positions. Yes, all the menus I'm opening right now can also be opened with, of course, the hotkeys that are assigned to it, which is often the faster way. I hope the sound is okay now, guys. Please let me know. And again, so our turn resolution is still going. Most of our units have taken up positions. And we have some reinforcements, our off-map artillery reinforcements now. Let's see. Battlefield conditions have changed. The weather has cleared up a lot, so we have a very increased visibility, over 6,000 meters now compared to the 1,500 before. So we can now see our first enemies, and immediately you will see our units are opening fire. So we have the enemy sighted, and we're starting to fire. You can see we are making kills. The blue lines indicate us shooting at the enemy. The red lines indicate the enemy shooting at us, and we are reporting some kills. The units in this game think for themselves, so when they feel threatened they will shoot. When they see the enemy they will shoot. You don't have to babysit them. They are trained professionals, just like you would expect your soldiers to be. So we have enemy incoming from here. What's also new is that we have received extra fire support. We're here in the fire support tab, which lists all our artillery units or air support units that we have available. 2 of them are on map, as we can see, this infantry mortar team, as well as the motorized mortars. And we can start giving these orders now. Also, we have 2 heavier off-map artillery platoons. And these we're going to give orders for some special ammunition. So to use off map, select them from the fire support tab. You can right click on their counter just as you would with a counter that is on the field, and you can select a barrage. In this case we want a barrage, and we're going to deploy some minelets. This is special ammunition, is highly limited, so you can't do this all the time, but it can be a very good way to halt or at least delay an enemy advance. So we're going to select the minelets, and now we're going to give fire orders to where we want them to throw these. So we're going to try and deploy minelets on these two hexes, basically on the enemy route of advance, delaying them long enough for our units here to take some good aim. With our second one, we're also going to deploy some minelets. And we're going to deploy them on the other road of advance. And we're going to be a bit, let's say, immoral, because we're going to deploy them on urban areas. Not advised to do in real life, obviously. The 10 on the Russian counter here means the guess our troops are making of the number, the indication. We're currently thinking there are about 10 enemy tanks. We identified them as the TATB-1, but we're not sure. They might actually be more, might actually be less. It's not always easy to get accurate information on the front lines, and this is also something that's simulated in this game. So we have deployed our fire support for these guys. With our under units, we're also going to try and start firing on the enemy to delay them. So we're going to set barrage, and we're going to set a neutralizing suppression fire on them. And we can see the letter changed on the counter to a B, indicating it has a barrage mission. This probably won't cause too many casualties, these mortars, but they are to drop the readiness of the enemy armor. So again, we have set our bombing missions. Our units are in position. Our recce is coming up here. I think it would be safe to move this tank up a bit more, try to get it into the action. A bit risky sending it into the open like this, but let's take some risk tonight. It's after all what a simulated war is for. We also have, due to the radio interference, we have limited orders, as we can see from our main tab here. We have, due to the electronic warfare interference, we only have a maximum of 8 orders to give, which is simulating the limited ability of commanders and the front line to reach all their units, and also the chaos that comes with a lot of radio chatter, etc. So having done that, we're going to start again, and we're going to see continued combat between these units, and we're inflicting some casualties here, but the enemy is firing back. So far so good. Again, our ATGM is doing a really good job, but it should be running out of ammo at some point. 35% ammo, as you can just see. So we're going to have to retreat it in a second and get it to resupply. So our minelets are dropping, which is very good. Artillery is firing, actually taking some casualties, or bringing some casualties, not taking them themselves. And meanwhile, we still have some units in reserve here, should things get really nasty. Our ATGM is out of units now, and it's going automatically in emergency resupply. I don't have really a lot against that, but I prefer to do it from a bit more, bit safer position, so I'm going to move it in a second. The enemy is using its artillery on our fortified positions, which is of course not ideal, and it's actually claiming some casualties, and we're losing one striker. Striker retaliates though, avenging its fallen comrade. And there's more support. Are 3 Lynxes, assault helicopter or attack helicopters. So we're going to move them up to the front lines as soon as possible. The Lynxes also use anti-tank guided missiles, so are very good on the offensive, and are of course also quite vulnerable. So you want to get them in fast, release their missiles, and then get them back. Unfortunately, the enemy is also bringing in some air support, which can be devastating to my challengers. So I hope at least my air support will do something to scare them off. And our units are engaging in counter artillery fire. So they are registering where the enemy artillery is firing from, or at least where they think it is, and then they're directing their own artillery fire to it. This is something I allowed the AI to do automatically when the artillery did not have any standing orders. Again, the AI is very smart, can think for itself, and is covering me. So I'm quite grateful to it, actually. In the meantime, we're suffering quite heavy casualties. And the enemy is now also launching at ATGMs, killing more of my units. And I'm getting a bit scared here. Our minefield is claiming some more casualties. At the same time, an airstrike is incoming, again ordered by the AI itself. But our units at the front line are starting to get casualties as well. Right, turn resolution is over. I lost all my striker units. This challenger is fairly weak as well. It lost 2 of its comrades, as we can see, the subunit. So one of them has fallen out, the other one is destroyed. Which, of course, in a single scenario is not really big of a difference. In a campaign game, you will be able to repair fallen out units. So we have to think of what to do with this unit, and at the same time we have to see when do we bring up these guys. At the very least, we're going to try and retreat our final challenger and let them come closer to us. Yes, the red color is new indeed in 2.06. There were some interface improvements and changes to make everything a bit clearer and to make it a bit easier or even easier to understand what's going on. And then we're going to bring up our own helo. So we're going to, again, move deliberate. We're going to fly it in relatively close. And we're going to set it on screen because we wanted to leave the area when it launches missiles. Yes, the ATGM hints are also new, which you see the text pop-ups as soon as the ATGM is fired. You also hear it from the sound effects. So with that, we're going to just pray that we can scare away this helo, and then we're going to move out ourselves. Let's order our fire support unit and bringing some heavier stuff, perhaps. So we're going to set a neutralizing fire barrage on the approaching enemies. Barrage. You can use smoke screens, you can improve conventional munitions, which we're going to do in a second as soon as I find some really juicy targets. I'm going to keep my other guys on call and let the AI handle them, so you can witness their power as well. And we're gonna keep our units for this at the moment. I'm still not too sure what's coming from here. I would have expected my recce would have spotted something, so the course that their main push at least will come through this pass. Of course, there is a chance that it will go around the very big, and in which case we have some units here as well to cover still. So we're gonna press start again. So we're losing more units to the enemy helo. Meanwhile, our challenging is continuing to take out some of their recce's, blinding the enemy, which is always a good thing. Our challenger is going to try to pull out, but it's difficult to judge if he's going to make it. And we spot a big body of enemy tanks here. We managed to scare away the enemy helo, or at the very least, it's run out of ammunition. I don't know which one is the case, but it's gone for now. And we are pounding on a position which, unfortunately, we just killed the last unit in. So it appears that there was actually an unspotted recce still there, which we took out. And meanwhile, the enemy is doing counter-artillery fire, and I failed to listen to Captain Darwin's hint at the very start. Keep your artillery units and your HQ units separated, and I'm suffering the consequences now as I'm losing one of my units attached to my HQ. So it's a major error on my part. Meanwhile, we continue to pound the enemy with our units. Hopefully, if not taking, inflicting casualties. Oh wow, two less T-80s. We're also lowering their readiness, so that's of course a good thing. And we just spotted enemy radar here, which is tracking our helo. So we know the enemy has AA in the area, and it's definitely something I prefer to keep away from. Meanwhile, our artillery is doing a really great job. And note also that this minefield, even when it doesn't get casualties, it still slows down the enemy a lot, because as soon as they know that they're in a minefield, they're going to slow down. They're going to watch what they're doing. So it's a very good point to delay them with a minefield and then pound them with artillery. Yes. You also get KIAs, well, not by definition KIA confirmations, but you can see explosions from units, even if you don't have a line of sight on them. So when artillery fire, you might be able to identify secondary explosions or see the smoke coming from destroyed units. And if you know in advance what unit was there, which is was just the case with our recce, then it's a fairly good chance that that's the unit that is destroyed. So, as you can see, our assault helicopters are doing a very good job while still maintaining out of the range from this entire unit. And at least I hope for now. As it comes closer, though, it's also taking fire from my tank. So when we look at our assault helicopter, we can see that it's down to 13% ammo. So we're not going to retreat it here. We're going to retreat it to the north, and after it's done that, we're going to set it. Let's just set it ourselves. We're going to set it to resupply, and then hopefully it will be around for a second run when we need it. So this tank here is spotted now. I'm not sure if it's completely safe. But it's doing a good job of scaring away the enemy Tunguskas, or anti-air units. And we have some very juicy targets for artillery here. So we're going to use some of our special ammunition, or try and use some special ammunition on them. So we're going to select them. We're going to select a barrage, and we're going to use our improved conventional munitions. And we're going to do as much damage to them as we possibly can. The game ends, by the way, either when the time is up or when one of the units has suffered, or one of the armies has suffered too many casualties and will retreat. There's also, as a player, you can choose to continue after this happens. So say I would kill over 70% of the Soviet force here. They would give up. I could still say, no, I want to continue to fight from here. I want to chase them off the field, as a matter of speaking. So we set our artillery targets again. And after that, I will keep one of them permanent in counter battery mode to prevent their artillery from doing too much stuff. And we let our local artillery again be directed by the AI itself. Again, what we're playing here is an extremely small scenario compared to many others. There are much more bigger scenarios. There's also the scenario editor where you can go ahead and do a lot of stuff yourself. There's I think 4 campaigns now in game. 2 ones that release, 2 became free in the form of free updates. And these campaigns all have like a series of missions where you take your troops, as long as they're not destroyed, from mission to mission. So it's a very interesting way of playing the game, and it makes you really tend to your units much more than I'm doing at the moment. So the enemy is coming closer, and they just unfortunately dodged my artillery. The other units, the other juicy target is not so lucky, and we are doing some damage there. As you can see, the Soviets have in general slightly bigger formations than the NATO units. As a result, they're slightly less flexible but bring more firepower to bear. And of course, the difference in unit characteristics and in equipment are also measured in-game and are reflected in-game. So you will see that when you're playing the Soviets, you will have an entirely different approach to the game than if you would be playing the NATO forces. And again, there's also the difference between the different NATO forces. Just look alone at the Challenger and the Abrahams and the, our support. They all have their own characteristics, and here I'm suffering a major airstrike from one of the enemy airplanes, which kills, unfortunately, an extremely large group of my units. I'm slightly stunned, and gosh, this was very bad. We can see the crosses in the hex indicating our major losses, and it was so close to our anti-air unit, but the Javelin couldn't be really useful against this amount of firepower from the enemy. Meanwhile, the enemy is pushing up in the town of Nordheim, heading to the bridges. I'm still a bit stunned by the powerful enemy attack. I'm gonna have to see how to recover from that. Luckily, our artillery is really punishing the enemy as a result. If your screen is freezing, Didactylus, you might try and lower the quality of the stream on your end. Perhaps that should help a bit. So our artillery is doing a really great job, but unfortunately their units were extremely capable, and they might actually come around for a second run. And here they have crossed the bridge, and we're having a point-blank fighting here, street to street, building to building fighting. As you can see, I mean, modern warfare is extremely deadly. If you can see it, it probably means that you can kill it, and you've got something to actually reach the enemy. With the off-map artillery, with the airstrikes, with the precision weapons. It's a very bloody affair, and keeping your units alive through it is really is close to an art, which I'm not mastering very well, as you can see. As a result, this is an extremely challenging game, and this combined with the fact that the AI can keep surprising you, will use different tactics, different formations every time they play. It makes for a game that even the same scenario you can play a great number of times before moving on to one of the others. So here we're quickly losing ground. And we are fighting hard, we are inflicting some casualties, but the enemy is just so much more numerous. Battlefield conditions have changed, there's slightly less visibility, but it's not really mattering when your enemy is 2 feet away from you. And even while playing the same scenario, the battlefield conditions can be random as well. For example, there would have been the chance that here it would be extremely raining the entire time, rendering a visibility of 1,000 meters. Right, so our turn resolution phase is over, and I feel like I'm definitely going to lose ground here. So I need to move up some of my reinforcements and have them take a good position. Perhaps moving towards the hatch here will give them a reasonable chance to fire. Or moving towards the town here, but this is a bit too close to the enemy for my taste. So we're going to set our infantry units, and we're going to move them through the hedges close to the enemy and see if they can get some missiles off. And at the same time, our tanks, we're going to be a bit more careful with them and try and slowly approach the enemy. Let's see if we can get some. I need some more nice infantry or nice artillery shots here. So I'm going to set a barrage. I'm no longer. I still got some improved conventional munitions actually, which is good. Let's just try that. Spread it out a bit more. So our priority target is the tanks here. Yeah, using the LOS, you can use line of sight tools to check for these kill zones to see what your unit can do. Unfortunately, on my level, I've turned off using these line of sight tools. So I'm going to have to take estimated guesses of their line of sights and line of fires here. And we're going to set neutralizing fire on these units. So we're going to spread around the fire, hopefully doing some damage. At the very least, it seems we've taken out most of the Tunguskas here. So our air unit, when it returns to the field, should be a bit more safe. And we're going to see what happens. I'm inclined to leave these units into positions because they have their defensive bonuses now. They are in a dug-in posture. Right, so we killed another one of their HQs, which is good on our side. Let's see those with. It's gonna be a close fight here, which is of course always more interesting to see than a clear-cut one. So a very good artillery strike in this case, dealing major damage to the enemy. 5 T-80s That's the jackpot, guys. Unfortunately, my infantry keeps getting pounded. And the enemy is using their smoke barrage on one of my units, limiting its visibility. So as you can see, all the tools and special orders, etc., I have access to, the AI will use as well, and will use it effectively. So this is, again, credit goes to the target simulation team for getting this AI to this level. So our units from the north have started engaging the enemy while they're repositioning, and our artillery keeps pounding. Taking some more enemy headquarters, which is very good. Yes, the enemy CET will return indeed. I hope we'll get some fire support at some point as well. And the enemy is now pounding my challengers, luckily not taking any kill. I don't have my my air unit available yet at the moment. Tornado should be arriving very soon, actually. Exactly. So in a couple of minutes, our tornadoes, our own aircraft fire support should be available. We're going to see what kind of damage that we'll be able to do. The good thing is it appears that our units in the north here are not yet spotted. And again, our artillery on its own accord is trying to engage in counter battery fire and actually succeeding, as we can see from some of the secondary explosions. So this is very good. I would have probably been better off if I left my entire army to the AI. Meanwhile, fighting here is extremely tense. We've changed battlefield conditions, and we've finished our turn resolution phase. Unfortunately, our air support is not yet there, so I cannot give it orders at the moment. We're going to set our artillery to on-call, let it choose its own. We set one to on-call, and we set one to counter battery fire, focusing on taking out the enemy artillery. Their ammunition is getting low, though, so I got to watch out for that. These units are still moving. This one is still in the phase of resupplying. It should be done in a couple of minutes as well, and then we can return it to the field. So we're just going to hope that these guys are holding out long enough for that to happen. So this Challenger is getting pounded quite heavily by artillery now as well. So we're going to remove it or try and get it out of the action. And we're also going to reposition these guys. I'm getting quite afraid of their air units and their artillery, so I feel inclined to keep moving my units in the rear as well. And I've already reached my order limit here, 5 out of 5. So this is again one of the limitations you have as a control, and is simulating actual control situations of commanders on the ground during this conflict. So we're gonna start the turn for now then, as there's really nothing we can do due to radio interference. Now we're gonna pray for our artillery units there. And there it is, our British AC Tornado has just arrived, is available off map. So we're gonna be able to use that hopefully soon. Tornado, and it's on call at the moment. Meanwhile, our infantry units here keep fighting. They keep offering resistance. Again, they're well dug in. So it's not easy to remove them. It's not easy to remove infantry from fortified positions, obviously. So while the enemy might take them eventually, it will really be costly. As you might have noticed also, is that my challengers are not making the amount of kills as they did initially. This is mainly due to, well, obviously partly due to the fact that I have a lot less of them than I started with, but also because their readiness is lowering. As their readiness lowers, they'll be slower to respawn, they'll be less accurate in their fire, and all of this is, again, is modeled in-game. And we're actually ordering artillery on our own units here, danger close, which works out for the best at this point, although it's obviously a highly dangerous thing to do. I really regret this, I really wouldn't want to be the guys fighting there in the streets, getting pounded by artillery from both sides. And here we have it, our high command intervention. So previously, this would be when the game ended. The enemy has lost 70% of their troops, and that's why they lost heart, and they retreat and regroup. And then there's a calculation about who gets which victory hexes. Are your units close enough to seize them while the enemy retreats? If so, then you will get control of them. So here, in case of the victory hexes on this side of the town of Nordheim, we are keeping control. We are still the units that are there. The other side of the river, they are in control, but our units are so close that while the enemy will retreat, we will be able to move in and secure them ourselves. If you feel that you are that this is not the way you would like it to end with this retreat calculation, you can say continue the fighting, and you can charge them off the field yourself. You can drive them off, and you can claim the victory points for yourself. In this case, though, we have an 80% rating, so it would be a tactical success. So we're going to end game now, and we're going to take a look at the end game screens. So it was an extremely bloody fight, and I lost a lot of good units, but it was a victory nonetheless. For a single scenario as this, it's cool to have a victory like this. For a campaign game, I feel like I've lost too many important units to make it actually a satisfactory game. So we have the end game now. We can see all the remaining units as well as the information of the staff summary report. Let's take a look at the map first. We can see the enemy still had some forces available, although most of them were driven off. We can see their helo was making a move through the south and trying to come again. They still had some artillery available to shoot at me, but aside from that, they really suffered a lot of losses, as indicated by the crosses in the different locations, as well as some of my counter battery fire. Of course, on my side, I've suffered quite some losses as well, but it was my artillery that really brought me through it, that really carried me through it, and that won me the day. So again, if we zoom out, we get the complete picture of the map, and we can see that the enemy is going to retreat back to the east, and we're going to take control of this center according to our mission. So now we're going to look at our Tactical Operations Center, and we're going to see the staff summary report here. So we can see the distribution of active runners or subunits. So we can see the amount of helos we started with, they started with, and we had at the end, and they had at the end. And we can see our victory point calculations. We can go into detail. We had all the victory locations. We inflicted more enemy losses. And so with 80% rating here, it amounts to a tactical success, just close of a decisive one. So quite satisfactory according to mission command. As we can see, the inspectorate congratulates you and rates your performance as competent and professional. Now we're going to take a look at our force roster. And this is the list of all the units you had available during the mission, and you can see which one have been taken out, what losses you suffered, and also the claims of each unit. So this platoon claimed 2 tanks, 1 APC, 1 air defense unit, 3 RTs, and 2 utility units. In this case, the current claims are the same as the lifetime claims. This is obviously because we're playing a single scenario here. If you play a campaign again, it will remember all these and it will add up to the lifetime claims, which is a very nice touch. So you can track which units have done best for you. So as you can see, a great number of units have fallen out. Especially this type of stuff is very depressing to see. Entire units wiped out. There were veteran troops as well. Most of these units here are highly trained professionals. So seeing them lost is very unfortunate. For total detail, here we can see, by the way, that this RT unit, for example, I've claimed 9 tanks as kills, including 3 and in addition 3 APCs, infantry, and artillery. We can also check our reported kills and claims here, which is a spreadsheet of every unit you have and what type of unit they destroyed, including the total numbers. So it's also a good tool to track the effectiveness. And if you're interested in it, you can also, at the end game, see the same things for your enemy. So you can check their force roster, and you'll see a much bleaker picture of the situation. And their commander has been rated to be very disappointing. So this was a very quick look at Flashpoint campaigns Red Storm version 2.06, the Players Edition. The game will be, or the Players Edition of the game will be released on the 21st, so in 2 days. It will be available on Steam as well, so you can just click the banner below this video to go right to the Steam page and check that out. If you have the game, you will get the Players Edition update for free, obviously, and you will also be able to redeem your Steam key. For information on that, go to the website or go to the forums, and we'll guide you through that process. So if you want, you can also play the game on Steam. If you don't want it, you don't want anything to do with Steam, that's fine as well. We'll continue, of course, to support and update the non-Steam version as well. So you're really encouraged to check out more of the game and deep digger into it. This is just the extreme surface of everything the game has to offer when it comes to different types of units, different strategies, different maps, etc. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you had fun. I'd like to thank Jim Snyder as Captain Darwin and William van der Sterre from the On Target Simulation team for joining me tonight and helping me out, answering some of your questions, and for their support. And I hope you will be joining us again next Wednesday when we do another stream with another game. Thank you very much, everyone.